Rizlov the Righteous, Part 1 by Sinjin. Like all true heroes, Rizlov Larik had inauspicious beginnings. We are told by chroniclers that the springtide night in the 448th year of the first era in which he was born was unseasonably cold, and that his mother, Queen Leonada, died very shortly after setting eyes upon her son. If he were much beloved of his father, King Myrunes of Skingrad, who already had plenty of heirs, 3 sons and 4 daughters before him, the chroniclers make no mention of it. His existence was so very undistinguished that we hear virtually nothing of him for the first 20 years of his life. His schooling, we can suppose, was similar to that of any spare prince in the Clovian West, with alien tutors to teach him the ways of hunting and battle. Etiquette, religious instruction, and even basic statecraft were seldom a part of the training of a prince of the Highlands, as it was in the more civilized valley of Nibonay. There is a brief reference to him, together with his family, as part of the rolls of honor during the coronation of the Emperor Gorius on the 23rd of Sun's Dawn, First Era 461. The ceremony, of course, held during the time of the Alessian doctrines of Maruk, and so was without entertainment, but the 13-year-old Rizla was still witness to some of the greatest figures of legend. The Beast of Inequina, Durlach Bray, represented his kingdom, giving honor to the Empire. The chieftain of Skyrim, Kiorik the White, and his son Hog were in attendance, and despite the Empire's intolerance of all elves, Chimrin Doril Nerevar and Dwemer Dumach Dwarf King were evidently there as well, diplomatically representing Resdane, all in relative peace. Also mentioned on the rolls was a young Mer in service to the imperial court of High Rock, who was to have a great history with Rizlov, Rain Jareni. Whether the 2 young men of about the same age met and conversed is entirely the stuff of historian's fancy. Rain is spoken of in praising words as a powerful landowner, eventually buying the island of Belfier and the Illic Bay and gradually conquering all of High Rock and large parts of Hammerfell and Skyrim. But Rizlov is not heard of again in history books for another 17 years. We can only offer supposition based on the facts that follow. Children of kings are, of course, married to the children of other kings to bind alliances. The kingdoms of Skingrad and Kvatch skirmished over common territory throughout the 5th century until they reached a peace in the year 472. The details of this accord are not recorded, but since we know that Prince Rizlov was in the court of Kvatch 6 years later as husband to Belaine, the daughter of King Justinius, it is fair to make an educated guess that they were married then to make peace. This brings us to the year 478, when a great plague swept through all of Cyrodiil and seemed particularly concentrated in the independent Colovian West. Among the victims were King Morris and the rest of the entire royal family in Skingrad. Rizlov's only surviving elder brother, Dorild, survived being in the imperial city as a priest of Maruk. He returned to his homeland to assume the throne. Of Dorild we have some history. The king's second son was slightly simple-minded and evidently very pious. All the chroniclers spoke of his sweetness and decency, how he saw a vision in his early years that brought him, with his father's blessing, from Skingrad to the imperial city and the priesthood. The priesthood of Maruk, of course, saw no difference between spiritual and political matters. It was the religion of the Alessian Empire, and it taught that to resist the emperor was to resist the gods, given that it is scarcely a surprise that what Dorald did when he became king of the independent kingdom of Skingrad. His first edict on his very first day was to succeed the kingdom to the empire. The reaction throughout the Colovian estates was shock and outrage, nowhere more so than in the court of Kvatch. Rizlov Larik, we are told, rode forth to his brother's kingdom together with his wife and 24 of his father-in-law's cavalry. It was surely not an impressive army, no matter how the chroniclers embellish it, but they had little trouble defeating all of the guards Dorald sent to stop them. In truth, there was no actual battling. The soldiers of Skingrad resented their new king's decision to give up their autonomy. The brothers faced one another in the castle courtyard where they had grown up. In typical Colovian fashion, there was no trial, no accusation of treason, no jury, no judge, only an executioner. "Thou art no brother of mine," Rizlov Larik said, and struck Dorald's head from his shoulders in one blow. He was crowned king of Skingrad, still holding the same bloody axe in his arms.